It's nice to see so many new faces. That's one thing about this organization since we started. Every meeting there have been a lot of new faces, some that have not come at every meeting, but there's been a nice group of new faces, which shows that people are interested in our group and are coming. And so that's what we are happy about. And because I know what you all came for tonight, we're going to hurry along through and add the minutes of the meeting.
I just discovered the thing I brought to write with doesn't write. Well, yeah, I need that too. I can get that in the minutes.
When you come around here, so they can be mine.
It's going to be on that.
No, I'm speaking this way. Over here. Over here, so they can hear you.
On September 23rd, the club met at 7:40 in Legion Hall. Mrs. Newman presiding. Minutes of the preceding meeting approved as read. The bylaws and charter were, Mrs. Newman reported about the September 6th organizational meeting with Lawyer Peter Hastings, at which 7 of the club's officers signed a petition to the state of Maine for incorporation, submitting the bylaws as adopted on August the 26th. And to date, we have not yet heard from Augusta in reply. There was a discussion about possible programs, and the following were suggested. Dr. York, an octogenarian panel for questions, bicentennial film that is held by Casco Bank. Right, following the adjournment, $42.50 in dues was turned over to the treasurer. As the 56 charter members now reported. The program was about the West Oxford Agricultural Society, better known as Fryeburg Fair. Its history by George Weston, Myron Kimball, Ralph McKean, with additional anecdotes by club members. The program was taped by Charles McKay, and early premium lists were on display. That was all. There is one other thing. I don't know whether that should be read or not. Remember, I was late to the meeting, and I have, which is the type organizational meeting of September 6th. It was never read. We reported on that, as I said. That's when we went to Hastings. And
we did report on that, so I don't think you necessarily have to read that.
It is a meeting, which will be
It'll be recorded on. All right, you've heard the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections that you'd like to make? Why they stand as read. And Walter, do you have some treasurer's report to give?
The latest information that I have on this subject, I think, is this statement from the bank that is brought up to the 10th of October, showing that we had a balance, including 3 small interest charges that had been made, of $209.64.
$269. All right. And there have been several memberships that have come in to me during the month, and also to Helen, but she'll bring it up more. And there's been several people who have indicated they wanted to join. So Helen, I think you're going to have a busy time tonight. we hope you're real busy.
Up until November 1st for charter members, the last few days.
That's right. The charter membership is to close on the 1st of November. And anybody who joins before the 1st of November will be included, will be classed as a charter member. We'd like to swell that number up.
And sustaining membership at $25 would be a founder of the Historical Society.
And we have,
For the benefit of people who may not have been here before, that charter membership is for 1974. Dues are again due
January 1st. The $2.50 that you pay now entitles you to charter membership. And then the fiscal year starts January 1st, so then we'll be after you again for some more money. But that's what you pay for the charter membership. And right now, I think probably is a good idea that I'd like to have the people who are officers and board of directors, the executive board, meet over here in the corner after the meeting, because they are to appoint a nominating committee. The nominating committee has to meet 30 days before the end of the year. But let's get ahead of the Christmas rush and make your date for the nominating committee to meet, and then what you do from there on is your job. But let's get it ahead of the holiday season. It's always nice to get that sort of thing out of the way first. Is there any old business that needs to come before the meeting? Is there any new business to come before the meeting? Harry?
I won't take very much of your time, but I do have a little explanation to make. Some of you people who have been here to the meeting before heard it mentioned that it would be nice to have a gavel to open the meeting with. We have no gavel. It was also suggested that it would be nice to have a gavel made out of a piece of the donut tree, which, as you on my property. The donor tree was looked at by Al Eaton, and I think he agreed that it could be taken, a piece could be taken out of that tree, but he didn't know how solid the wood was and so forth and so on. Shortly after that, my good wife was up in one of our attics and brought down a box of various things, and in that box she found a gavel, which I had forgotten all about. So I will hastily explain to you about this gavel. Now that's a gavel made from budgeted white pine that was going right here in Fryeburg. At the time I was president of the New England Nurserymen Association, and also a member of the American Association of Nurserymen, and a delegate to the American Association of Nurserymen. A good friend of mine, who was then executive secretary of the American Association of Nurserymen, had an office in Washington, D.C., was collecting gavels as his hobby. He was trying to get gavels from each state in the United States made from the state tree. Well, not only did my partner and I thought it would be nice if we gave him a gavel made from a white pine tree, which of course, as you know, is the mason tree. So I went down to the sidewalk and got a piece of a down pine, which was all solid and good, and took it up to Clarence Walker, who was then industrial arts teacher at the academy, and asked him if he would make the gavel. He not only made one gavel, but he made two. The second one being from a piece of virgin white pine, which was grown here in Fryeburg, that he got from Florida. One gavel was given to Dick White, as I explained, And the other gavel I have. I'd forgotten all about this, completely forgotten about it until Willie found it. And then it was all came back very fresh to me, of course. And I thought it would be nice if we gave this gavel to the Fryeburg Historical Society. Because I can't say that it came from the Fryeburg, because I don't know what gavel I got here, but I do know that it was made from the virgin piece of a virgin white pine that grew right here in the town of Fryeburg. And Louis and I thought it would be nice, as I say, if we presented this to the Fryeburg Historical Society, and Madam President, we would like to do that now.
Thank you. I think in behalf of the society, I think people have gotten tired of my rapping on the desk with a pencil or a notebook or something to call order, so now I have a gavel. Thank you. The next meeting will be Dr. Robert York from Gorham, University of Maine at Gorham, will be our speaker. And did he indicate his topic?
No, he did not.
He's a history, connected to the history department at Gorham. And he is interested in historical societies and has gone around the state talking to historical societies. So I think he may be able to give us some good ideas. And so we're looking forward to having him. And then you're all waiting to have our panel of people reminisce about bygone days in Fryeburg. We met for a little briefing session at my house the other day. Some pictures, old class pictures came out, and they spent half the time trying to identify the people in the pictures. And I had a terrible time trying to get them out of the primary school. After all, I had been a primary teacher, and I thought I was good enough to promote my youngsters, but I couldn't promote those people out of the primary department. They spent a lot of time on there. But then I think maybe they will, since they've gotten partway through primary grade today, they will progress a little bit faster. And so I'm going to ask the panel to come up here, to sit up here, and we're going to set the time at 9 o'clock because they can go on forever and ever. So we're going to give them until 9 o'clock, not by that clock. But then, so there will be a cutoff time. And then you're at liberty to talk to them afterwards, but just so that you'll have some idea of what we're going to do. And so will the panel people come up here? Walter and
Excuse me, Rose has just given me a notice that she has received from the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission. Notice that the meeting can be held tomorrow, Tuesday, October 29th, at the courthouse in Alfred, and it's in relation to the Historic Preservation Commission. And they recommend that historical societies as well as planning boards and conservation commissions should try to attend this meeting to obtain information and guidance on recognizing the cultural resources of their municipalities and ways in which they can be protected. And it says here that one of the speakers will be Earl Shellerworth, the young fellow who spoke last year here at the Conservation Commission. If anyone is interested in attending this meeting, it's tomorrow at Alfred. You just have to know it.
Yeah, well, maybe we will vote. We went kind of round robin.
My possibility for representatives to go to another meeting.
all right. I'd like to introduce the panel for the people who may not know all. We have Tina Buzzle here and Marguerite Durgan.
I just didn't put it
Walter Burnell is already on his feet. And Lester Kisman. And they were pretty much classmates together, and so we're going to let them talk, and Harry Eastman is going to be the moderator.
Quite an honor to be considered in your class, I'll tell you that.
Pretty young to be that guy.
Well, the way you look at it. Well, I think we'll start in. I may have to interrupt each one of you occasionally to stop you because I sit in with you the other day, you know, and to cover as much territory as we can in the time we have. Why, I'll try and control you people a little bit.
Get them out of the primary class.
Yes, so I think I'll start right in with you, Lester, and I'd like to have you tell the group here where you were born and where you went to school and so forth, and I'll interject some questions too.
Well, I was born in Fryeburg. I was born in a house there where normal town store used to be. That's the next to where this house is now.
Before the argument, what was the argument?
Took the deed space
Yeah.
as a double-tenement house. I was born there in 1890, and then we lived there. I went to Ohio. I was out there for 3 years. Then I come back and I moved down in the house where Jack Ballard lives. I lived there till I got married. And I went to school at the stone schoolhouse. It was pictures there, I was
And for some of you younger people, what he was talking about, the calling the stone schoolhouse is now the public library.
Yeah. And then when I came back from Ohio, they built this new schoolhouse down here. And I went there for a year, and then I quit school to go to work. So I extended my school, and I went up to the 8th grade.
Now I'm going to ask Mrs. Butler, where did you go to school and where were you born?
I was born right here in Fryeburg, May 28, 1887.
I wouldn't ask you the date, but I'm glad you paid it.
I'm not sure.
You shouldn't be.
And I went to school when I was going to school in the spring before I was 5 years old. And the teacher picked me out. So, after my birthday,
Why do you?
I wasn't old after my birthday, the 28th of May, well, my mother sent me back to school again. And I went there to stone schoolhouse until I was 11 years old. Then I moved to Fryeburg Harbor. Down there for 9 years. And came back home.
Irene? Where did you go to school?
Well, I was born in North Lovell, and I came out to West Fryeburg when I was about 6 years old. And I stayed over there a few months, and then came over here, and I was about 7, I think it was 1900. And we lived up on Main Street over Mrs. Barker's store, which is Helen's aunt, great aunt. And we lived there 5 years, and I went to the stone schoolhouse. And then there was such a crowd in the stone schoolhouse that they had to go back down to what is now Gordon Hall, or was Gordon Hall, until we went to the grammar school over here. And then we moved down to Frank Hill's house, and we lived there 5 years, and then we bought the house at 28 Elm Street. And we lived there over 50 years. So I guess and then I went to the academy in 1906. So I just have told you.
Now, Walter, you were born in Ohio?
Yeah. But part of Highland was East Highland. I was born March 15th, 1886. I first came to Fryeburg Academy, I think in October. Came in on the train for 4 terms, and then from then until graduation in 45, I stayed here in Fryeburg. I got married in Fryeburg back, I guess you didn't ask us how this family pedigree.
I thought that you'd tell us just what you wanted to, you know. There might be something you didn't want to ask. Some questions I might ask you didn't want to answer all of it.
That one could be. When I lived in Fryeburg, I got married down there on Oxford Street, in the place where I lived, the old Calvin Nail House, right across from Gus Ward's. And I was married in June 1908. That year, I joined the KPs in Sonic Lodge, I think, quite a year. And I lived there until 33, and I moved to Conway, and lived there near Robertsburg until 59. Then I moved Green Hill. I moved from Green Hill a little over 2 years ago. But Fryeburg, I want to say here that was always seemed more my home that I always wanted to gravitate back to. That will always be so.
I think we'll move along a little bit. I know it may seem hasty to some of you people, but as Mrs. Newman said the other day, we were still in the grammar school when we left the house. But right here I would like to interject something and simply say that my grandfather on my mother's side, and Bob Kidman's too, taught school in the so-called Stone Schoolhouse. I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, noticed.
Yes, that's right. That was my grandfather told on my mother's side.
I didn't go in.
Huh?
I didn't go in.
Now, back in the early days, what were the forms of transportation here in the village? How did you get from the railroad station to the fairgrounds and things like that?
Horse-cars.
Oh, Oscar.
Horse-cars.
Yes, I knew that, but I'm asking these questions, so I'll make you answer.
Where's the Chautauqua ground?
Yeah, explain to these people where the Chautauqua grounds were. Some of them know, of course, and some of them don't. And where the horse car ran from where to where and so forth.
Well, they started, as I remember, they had sheds down here by the Swan Falls Road where they used to keep the cars. Frank Reserve run the cars for a long, long while. That's after I came back to Fryeburg to live. And but they run from Frank Reserve to the station, back and forth, several trips a day, meeting the trains, and that sort of thing. And Fryeburg Fair was always a busy time, very busy time, with the horse cars. And Chautauqua, as I remember, about a month the Chautauqua used to be. Maybe it was longer. I don't know. It was in I think it was the month of August that they used to have the
It was all
Chautauqua.
summer, I think, and they had school down there, and they had a lot of cottages down there.
Yes, and they called it Martha's Grove.
A big crowd was down there in the summertime.
Eating hall, everything down there.
And the book is Moose Home. And the book is Moose Home.
Yes, that's what they call a moose home down there.
Moose Home?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It was some of the assembly up there. There was also a church and ministers, they had the churches there.
Oh, yes, the ministers came from all over.
There was a school for children, and there was cooking schools.
Yes,
Prominent.
that's right. Yeah.
Now, what they charge on the horse car to ride from the station to the fairgrounds and so forth?
I had to go for $4.
I think it was a nickel or 10 cents.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Plummer in the Oxford gave Mount Hutchins and Arlene and me every year, as long as he was here,
a season ticket on the hospital. We rented about every day the car went. But I don't know what the price was. I could not remember. I don't think it was very expensive.
Well, I've heard people say it was a nickel from the station to the fairground.
Yeah, that's what
I never,
It could be.
Well, that's about all any transportation line had within miles, wasn't it, city? 5 cents a nickel fare. Most of our kids grew up for nothing. You going back in.
I never rode on the hospital, but I can remember coming to Fryeburg while they were still in operation.
You see, we had closed ones for winter. What time they run on cold, the part of cold weather that they run them. They had closed cars. And then in the summer, they had their open ones, send you streetcars.
You remember what Lord used to make accidents for the cars?
I know that was one of the cars, and somebody else in town got one of those hospitals. For shop, and I can't remember where we went too far. I can't remember where they are.
Normally, open cars would sit down there on the side and they ride it out.
Right.
Yeah.
How many horses on those cars?
Few on the big ones.
They had 2 horses, and on the single one they had 1. And that bobbed up and down, you on the back end, and lift the front end of it off the truck.
That was by accident. You wouldn't do it on purpose, would you? As I say, I never rode on the hospital, but it just happened I have one length of the hospital rail down to my house.
I have to carry it up. Some of those roads went into the concrete on the sidewalk at last that they laid down there and right in front of where your shop is.
All right.
Yeah.
So down near the station. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That happened one back night.
That's something we can't tell about, huh?
That was a certain,
Yeah. Now, what about the train? When was the first train into Fryeburg? Somebody told me that the other day. Did you? First train, yeah.
I can't remember, I'm marking down. Well, I think you made an interesting statement about that fact. The first and last passenger train.
Well, I think it was either 1872 or 1873 that first train came into Fryeburg, and it came as far as Fryeburg Station and then back into Portland.
Fryeburg Register, I think, from the Fryeburg Register.
What Walt was referring to is my father rode on the first train that came into Fryeburg, and my youngest son Stephen rode on the last passenger train going out of Fryeburg. I rode in between. When you get
In
that.
the winter time, did they have those big rollers that they used to roll the snow with?